Welcome back to MiningIR, and here we are at the mining investment event of the North. I'm Alvaro Peralta, and with me I have Kerem Usenmez from Volta Metals Ltd, and we're going to talk about a junior mining company that is doing what they do best, which is exploration. Welcome, Kerem.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about Volta.
Yeah, Volta Metals is a relatively new company listed on the CSE. It's a lithium exploration company. We have exciting discovery in northwestern Ontario. We like Ontario. We want it to be in Ontario because there's a lot to uncover. But what's interesting is all these car manufacturers that are building battery plants, EV plants in southern Ontario, that's where we want to come. We want to provide lithium locally, and we have a discovery in northwestern Ontario.
Excellent. Well, let's dig into the discovery. Tell me a little bit about the lithium that you're finding up there.
Yeah, so it's high-grade lithium right on surface. Our team did an amazing job in a short amount of time. We have fantastic local support, the First Nations, near Armstrong, Ontario, so it's road accessible, not too far from Thunder Bay, literally 3 hours drive. You can drive right into the property. But what's interesting is the First Nations in the area are very supportive. We did a very good job on getting their support and collaboration before we even step a foot on the property. Now we're working together. We hire all the local people, and we are getting the fruit out of that too.
You know, it's so exciting to see First Nations taking such a huge pride and role in being involved in mining. And my experience has been with junior miners is that they're actually looking to First Nations now to guide them in some of the exploratory work, because who knows the land better? In a lot of times it's them. So.
Absolutely, it's respect, it's collaboration, and at the end of the day, it's their land. It's with their ancestors and current livelihood are there. We have to be respectful and we have to work together. If it only benefits to everybody, that's.
Yeah, it's such a great shift in the industry, and I think it's finally come around to being extremely welcomed, and one of the things that we look forward to in this industry. Let's talk a little bit about, this is lithium, and you talked about some of the structural component. So why don't you give the investors an idea why you're excited about this particular property?
Absolutely. So we are focused on hard rock lithium. That's what we have in Eastern Canada, and I think there's a lot to discover in that part of Ontario and in Canada in particular. And we know hard rock the best. All of our team, we have the board, the management, we are hard rock miners, we discovered, we built, but we have our technical advisor is Mr. Lithium, okay? He worked for Ontario Geological Survey, and his role was for 29 years to assess the potential for critical elements and lithium in Ontario. As PhD on it. So we know where to look for, and now we're getting the results out of that. And there's more of the property that's still underexplored. We have to do that going forward.
All right, so let's look at what's right in front of our noses. Where are you guys at in the process? And what do the next 6 months to a year look like? What are some of the catalysts that we can look forward to as an investor? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So we found our discovery in a small portion of the property. We are currently screening the rest of the property to generate more targets for drilling. So we want to test it on strike and outside of it where we have other targets that going after. So in the next 6 months, that's what we're going to generate, more news, more discoveries. And later, that is going to transform into drilling and expanding what we found.
That's it. So initially, we had a quick conversation. You're talking about some of the work that you did last summer that's allowed for these next steps to take place. The investor should know a little bit about what you've already found and the direction you're going with that.
Absolutely. So it's on surface. We found 5 pegmatites that are mineralized. We channel sampled, we stripped them. It's homogeneous. We wanted to test because we didn't know the orientation, so we put 2 exact orientation boreholes to see how it's shaping below surface. It's continuous. It's the same high-grade nature going continuous. So now we have to go on either side, maybe more. That's immediate focus on drilling. But we have other targets where we did soil samples to see if it's seeping into the soil from underground where we can't see the rocks. And we are getting benefits of that. And that's what we're going to follow next.
And my understanding from what we discussed is that you're still just scratching the surface, literally. So why don't you give the investors an idea how deep you've gone and then how deep you're thinking of going?
So we know just 100 meters below surface, the mineralization continues. There's more. It's we don't know how deep it goes at this point, but our neighbors have hundreds of meters going deep, 300, 400, 600 meters. So there's that potential beyond that also, because we see it's not only dipping, but it's also plunging. So the strike might be going at depth as well. So yes, like you mentioned, it's scratching the surface barely. And there's more satellite areas that we have anomalies, lithium anomalies in the soil that indicate there's lithium underground as well.
So if an investor were to go in today, if we look at the crystal ball, where would things be a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now?
That's a good question. So if we continue what we continue to do, and that's our plan, is there will be more discoveries, there will be more drilling with good high grade. This is really high grade deposit, and potentially a resource. Unless we keep finding, we'll have within 2 years or less than that, we'll have a resource, and then potentially an open pit that I can envision based on what we know today. Yeah, so that's where we are.
Okay, so let's close off with this. It's obvious from what we're hearing from you, you guys were very crystal clear on what you were out looking for, which speaks to me to having a team in place before you even started looking for a property. Let's talk about that team a little bit.
Absolutely.
The foundation for that.
You need to have a good understanding of where to look for lithium. Not all pegmatites have lithium. 96% of pegmatites actually are barren. So having Dr. Fred Race, wherever you look, you Google lithium in Canada, lithium in Ontario, his papers come up. He published under some papers.
It's in his blood.
It's in his blood. He's PhD. So that's the best person. Obviously, he guides our efforts, but we also have really good team on the ground that is Ontario focused, Ontario based, and we have, like I mentioned, First Nation employees that are assisting our efforts on the ground, so we know how to work on surface by being respectful to Mother Earth.
Beautiful. Well, we're looking forward to staying in touch, hearing how the story plays out for Volta Metals and what the next steps are. Perhaps we'll see you in London at Mines and Money, or of course, if you ever want to, just give us a call. We're happy to interview once again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Thanks, Kerem.
Likewise, thank you.